From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including all of our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show. My personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. Don't forget to check out our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world a 10% happier place by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Boy, do I get excited when this guest is on. The Crypto Guru is back. Yes, Ronald L. Murphy Jr. You can find all of his books on Amazon. Has professionally published short stories, poetry, has a play produced, and his first novella. A graduate of University of Pittsburgh with a degree in literature, Mr. Murphy studied medieval history at the graduate level at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. His interests include acting, playwriting, photography, and growing beards. Ron's best work is his On series. It's a series of cryptid tales from around the world with real-life encounters from people seeing strange and unknown things, along with the urban legends and folklore that go along with them. His website, The Crypto Guru, actually it's cryptoguru.net. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Mr. Crypto Guru, my good friend, before we even get started, I have to say a big congratulations to you. You recently became a grandfather for the first time, and you have been spreading these pictures of this beautiful, gorgeous, healthy little granddaughter of yours. And I'll tell you, man, the bragging rights are all yours right now. I'm so happy for you and your family. And on behalf of everybody at Spaced Out Radio, congratulations on the new addition to your family.
You know what? I greatly appreciate that, my friend, and it's great to be here. But yeah, I will have to gush over my granddaughter for a little bit. Sadie Grace, she will be 1 month old on the 11th. And time has already flown. I'm very proud of her. I'm very proud of my daughter, who is, she's a young mother. She's only 16. So I mean, I'm gratefully, I'm very impressed by the way she really took on the mantle of being a mother. And I'm as proud of her as I am of this grandchild. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love all of my children, but whenever you bring a grandchild in the mix, that's something completely different. And until you actually experience that, it's really hard to put into words. But it's like, it's like living your children's childhood all over again. And I'm looking forward to taking this little one already on adventures. I've already had little onesies made about, future Bigfoot hunter and everything. So I'm really excited about, putting her out there on my back and hitting the woods in a couple more months. I'm very, very excited.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, I know you were really nervous because, I mean, you don't ever want to see your child become a mother at such a young age. But, I mean, sometimes situations happen, and God bless them for when they do, because, you have to have a good family to support it. I know you are one of your most cherished possessions in your life has been your children. And I know you're the kind of guy who, if anybody could handle this tough situation, it's you, and you're doing magnificently as a father and as a grandfather. And people can learn from people like you. And thank you so much for being as strong and as a great role model for many of us out there.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that. And you know what happens, Dave? What happens in this situation is teenage boys happen. That's what happens with this. And, and all this stuff happens. Look, I work with children. I work with families. I've been doing that for the majority of my adult life. And I've read all the books and everything to stop a teenage pregnancy. I have learned, and I'm trying to impart that onto my children. And sometimes that doesn't work. But the most important thing is you never stop loving your children. and you constantly reinforce in them that they have a support system. So even though people might think that this is a mistake, something that I've never seen that, but I mean, that's some people's opinion. But no matter what it is, there's always good that comes out of it. And I am very, very blessed to not only have my daughter Devin, but also happen to have a healthy, happy baby Sadie Grace. And I wouldn't change it for the world.
And a month in, you're probably wondering, how the heck did you live your life without her?
Immediately, because of all this crap that's going on with the COVID-19, of course, I could not be at the hospital with her. I could not see her for, the first couple of days. And then whenever, I hold her for the first time, I think, how is this possible to even give it back to her? That's something that I wanted to cherish. But I've learned my boundaries. She's doing an excellent job, something that I would not be capable of doing at the age of 16. And, we're all together here, my friend. And I appreciate all the prayers and all the well wishes from everybody. And I've heard a lot of people from, the spaced out nation. I've heard a lot from these people. And I really am feeling honored and flattered and quite taken aback by how much support that I have out there from people that has only heard my voice over the radio. So I'm very, very thankful for you guys.
Well, we appreciate that, man. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Guru, let's get into the reason why we're here tonight, and that is to talk a lot about strangeness, encounters, folklore, legends. Now, as someone who has researched deeply into this field, we look at folklore as just these tales that have been passed down, and it reminds people of the days, in elementary school when you tell the first child something, and by the time it hits the 20th child, that story is completely changed, and that's usually the way legends and folklore go. But there's always a hint of truth to everything that is in there. Why have you jumped full feet into the idea of cryptids with legends and folklore?
Well, I think so much of it comes from my educational background. As a student of Carl Jung and talking about the collective unconscious and the idea of, the shadow that exists within everybody, and also looking at the works of Joseph Campbell, seeing that the idea of legends and monsters and heroes, it transcends all cultures. I've said before that the idea of these monsters that we talk about, whether it's Bigfoot or vampires or werewolves, these are embroidered into our very DNA. We need them as much as they need us. And why? I mean, that is the whole thing, is why is this existing? In the 21st century, when we're sending, people into space privately now, when all of this great technological advances are going on, why do we still need monsters? Why do we still fall back on myths that are, in many cases, thousands and thousands of years old, going back to the very dawn of humanity? That is really what fascinates me. I've had experiences, you've had experiences, and we are experiencing something that has been with us since we left the savannah of Africa. And that is really what keeps me going, to continue to connect the dots and tracing it from, the old Stone Age right up into the present time, and very little changes. If you talk about a wild man encounter or something that would have happened, whether you're in Mesopotamia 13,000 years ago, or whether you're in the Middle Ages or the Renaissance, or now, very little changes. The story very rarely differentiates very much from these very ancient encounters. And it's something that has just fascinated me from a historical point of view. Now, of course, my mother, she raised my brother and I on these stories. She was one of these people that would go out looking for Bigfoot with my brother and I. So from very little, from my infant years, I have been able to look at the world with not a skeptical eye, but with very wide-eyed wonder. And that's what keeps me going, my friend. It's almost like being a child. Every time I delve into a new subject, it's like a child with a new toy. I just finished up my book on witches, which we spoke about last time I was here. And not so much cryptozoological based, of course, but the idea of the paranormal and the supernatural and the occult. Even a subject such as that, I looked and I delved into that with as much fervor as if I was investigating Bigfoot or a ghost or what have you. I just have this I guess, energetic enthusiasm whenever it comes to anything that goes bump in the night.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's okay to dream. Even if these creatures prove not to be real, it's okay to dream. Now, for many of us who have had these strange experiences, whether it's seeing Bigfoot or Dogman or aliens or ghosts, it is a very, very real phenomena on what we are dealing with on a daily basis and sometimes nightly. But for those who are maybe not believing or maybe look at this towards more of a scientific background, we have to look at it as the fact that there's still an opportunity and a chance that none of this is real. There really is. That it was figments of our imagination or maybe jumps in time or something that we just cannot explain. And, when I look at it, Ron, there's nothing wrong with chasing a legend. There's nothing wrong with, just, it doesn't hurt anybody, I guess is what I'm trying to say, to just go out there and look. Because the worst thing that's going to happen when you're out in the forest looking for Bigfoot, unless a bear or a cougar attack you, or maybe a snake where you are, but take the percentages, the low percentages away of that happening, the worst thing that happens is you get a great day in the fresh air.
That's right, you do. Well, the other thing that keeps me going, and that was very eloquently put, by the way, but the other thing that keeps me going is the psychology behind it. To wander through the woods is one thing, but I also like to go deep into that gray matter of the human mind, that wilderness that we all have within us. And like it or not, within that wilderness exist monsters for whatever reason. And it is as fascinating to look at it from a psychological point of view as looking at it from a cryptozoological point of view. Because whether we believe that these things are flesh and blood or not, they still exist within our consciousness. And my quest is basically to find out why. And what it points to, if you could look at, Jungian philosophy, is what it points to is that if these creatures do not exist today, they almost certainly did exist at one time in our evolutionary development. And it's so impacted who we are that those cultural memories, those genetic memories exist with us to this very day, and it still haunts our nightmares.
Okay, so how true are a lot of these legends in your mind? Now, I'm just saying, take away the fact that, whether it's fairies or whether it's trolls or goblins or whatever, let's take the folklore away. How many of these creatures that you have studied over the years do you actually believe are real?
Another great question. Okay, so we could look at different types of things. Like I finished up a book on lake monsters a couple of years ago, and it was a fascinating study because I looked at lake monsters of the Great Lakes, here in the United States and Canada. So whenever I look at some of these tales from around the world, you start coming across creatures such as the Kraken, and it seems to be that this was a very old telling of an encounter with the giant squid, the Architeuthis. And that has come to be a proven fact that there are things out in that ocean that have been documented in sagas by the Vikings or written about in accounts from the Greeks and Romans that science has proven that these things, yes, do indeed survive. The same thing with Bigfoot. Look, I wrote on Wildman tracking Bigfoot through history. I guess it's probably been about 4 years ago. And whenever I was writing this, I was looking at these, these strange encounters of wild men, in England and in Eastern Europe during the Roman Empire, and in Greece, even reports back to the Epic of Gilgamesh out of Samaria, and the idea of the wild man is so pervasive in all cultures around the world, even in Australia, that without a doubt, I can tell you that there was a wild man within our past. And I do believe that that is still in existence today. What we call Bigfoot or Sasquatch is this wild man figure, this archetype, if you will. And not only is it a psychological archetype, but I do believe that this is still a flesh and blood creature haunting the remnants of the wilderness that we have yet to go and clear cut. Things like vampires and things like werewolves, it's very possible that they wear the mask, the psychological mask of, the heinous ability of humanity that we are ashamed to admit that we're capable of pulling off such kind of deeds and crimes. So we assign it to be a monster when in actuality, the monster is us. But even that has something to say as well, too. Sometimes whenever you find the monster at the very end of the day, it's kind of like an episode of Scooby-Doo and you remove the mask and there's a human being under it. But many times whenever we find the monster, it is something that is just beyond the realms of scientific knowledge. It's not been categorized, but it's been witnessed countless times throughout the centuries. And it is only a cryptozoological being because nobody has pinned it down and dissected it yet.
Okay, so going through the list, I believe Bigfoot is real. There are too many sightings with different names all around the world that people are having. Tens of thousands of encounters over the years with this creature. I believe that one is real. But when we get into pterodactyls, when we get into the raptors of North Texas and in the bayou, I don't believe those ones, Ron.
Right.
Maybe that's just me.
No. I do know what you're talking about, because if we are dealing with certain animals, especially something like when we talk about a flying reptile that was supposedly going to extinct during the Cretaceous period, you're looking at, 65 million years of stationary evolution that did not take place to see something that's still out there. So I really don't think that there is a flying reptile haunting eastern Texas. I don't think that's a possibility right now. I think it's probably mostly misidentified things. But the Thunderbird is one of these cryptids that really do fascinate me, because during the Pleistocene, there was a very, very large condor called the Argentavis magnificens, and it fits the bill perfectly for the Thunderbird. And not only that, but people that report seeing this particular creature, this Thunderbird, all describe it in a very similar way, and they all describe it having this great kind of fanning tail feather. And that is the way this ancient bird would have appeared. So with very little knowledge of, or any knowledge at all of the fossil record, people are reporting something that looks like a reconstructed Argentavis magnificens. So it's very hard to say that they're not seeing something. But along that same line is a bird this size, and we're talking about a wingspan of a private plane, it would appear on radar. So, and why aren't we finding nests, or why aren't we finding, 12-foot long feathers, or why aren't they flying over and pooping on your Prius, and you get up and there's, your car's covered. So,
well, nobody should actually admit. Hold on a second. Nobody should actually ever admit that they own a Prius.
You know what? I feel the exact same way. But actually, one of my supervisors at work owns a Prius, and he is proud of it. I know.
That's terrible.
It is terrible. It is terrible.
That is terrible.
But yeah, so we have to look at this from a logical point of view as well, too. the idea of a creature like a Bigfoot, okay, obviously would have to be very intelligent, probably self-aware to remain that elusive. But when we're talking about a bird, we're talking about a different level of intelligence. But the people that I've interviewed that have witnessed this particular creature, and not only, regular, normal, everyday schmucks out there, but I'm talking about even people from the First Nations and indigenous cultures of North America that have seen this creature. I can tell you unequivocally that they're not lying. They're not making this up. They have nothing to gain from it. They are actually witnessing something. So with that being said, Dave, we have to look at another angle why these people are seeing these things. And that's where the idea of interdimensionality comes into play. That is whenever the idea of time slips come into play. And because I really, truly believe that the majority of people who claim that they have witnessed something are not making it up. The vast majority. I'm talking about 90%. But we cannot, there's no way to justify a bird this size living out there. There's no way to do it. So there's something else going on there. Misidentification is one thing, and I think that probably in at least the vast majority of encounters, it's misidentification. But even if one encounter is an actual eyewitness sighting of an unknown creature, we have to try to explain that somehow.
And I believe you, as we got just over 90 seconds here to go before we go to break at the bottom of the hour. The Crypto Guru is our guest tonight. Ron, I totally agree with what you're saying, okay? But you can't misjudge a 40-foot Thunderbird.
That's right. You can't.
All right? You can't. So either that person took a step back in time during a time slip, or they're making it up.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Or there's a possibility that along this earth, there are, power grids when we talk about things like ley lines. And is it possible that under certain circumstances, there is enough power generated from what have you that allows a door to open up and these things to enter our world, even for a brief few moments, so that people can see these things and then they slip back, never to be seen again.
Well, I mean, but that's what I'm saying, okay?
Yeah.
I don't believe, okay, a 40-foot Thunderbird is going to get picked up on radar.
Right.
It is. All right? Every 40-foot thing in the air gets picked up on radar. Let's just be honest. I don't think it's of stealth technology. I'm pretty sure of it. But I mean, you look at these Thunderbirds. If they're here, we've never found a nest. We've never found a feather. You would think that somebody walking the forests would come across a feather. I got crows that fly around my yard, ravens, and I find feathers.
Right. Hey, people go hiking all the time and they come across plane crashes from a decade ago. These things, things are found. And we have to understand, if these creatures are indeed flesh and blood and they're out there, they also have to reproduce, which means there has to be more than one. Yeah,
absolutely. Guru, hold that thought. Hold that thought, because we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. The Crypto Guru, Ronald Murphy, is our guest tonight. We don't have a script. We're just talking monsters. We know you love it. We love it, too. Stay tuned for the second half hour of Crypto Guru Time with Ronald Murphy.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you'd know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Need that weekend's supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters after a hearty, manly dinner tonight. None of this breakfast for dinner stuff. Anyways, moving on here, I want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, has a plethora of features for you, including reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, as well as rocking out to Bumblefoot. Oh, yeah, get your horns up for that. Follow us on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio for the show, and my personal handle, at Dave Scott SOR. The Crypto Guru returns here on Spaced Out Radio. You can find all of his books on Amazon under Ronald L. Murphy Jr., He's got a great beard going on, one that Bigfoot would be proud of. His website, cryptoguru.net. Here we are. Mr. Guru, good to have you back.
Oh, it's always good to be here, Dave. Always good to be here.
Absolutely. So right before the break, we were talking about monsters. Which ones exist, which ones don't. We were talking about things like the Thunderbird. And Bill WD40 in our chat room brought up a good point. He goes, there's condors there. We know they're there. Never find a feather of a condor, Dave.
No, but we've tagged them. We know where they nest. And you know why we know that is because they're frickin' big birds. That's how we know where they're at. And they're very isolated. They're endangered. But yeah, we know their exact location at every single moment. And even whenever you go into places like the Andes, whenever the Andean condor and things, we know about these things because there's so few of them and because, they're big birds. So we see them all the time as well, too, if you know where to look. We're talking about especially with Thunderbird sightings, we're talking about over habitated, areas. We're talking about sometimes over cities where these things will not go unnoticed. There's no way it will go unnoticed. So it's not like, the rare peregrine falcon that will nest on city buildings, a very small bird. We're talking about a bird that has a wingspan of a city bus. And we're talking about something that weighs about the body weight of this creature would be about 150 pounds, which is a huge, huge animal. So, yeah, we would definitely see these things. Also, they also have to eat. And a bird of that size probably is not predatory. It's probably a scavenger. So we would see these things having to come to land to feed, and not only feed, but take its time at feeding as well too, because an animal of that size needs a lot of calories to keep it going. So the idea about the Thunderbird being a flesh and blood creature existing nowadays is virtually impossible. But again, like I said, people still see them. So we're trying to get to the bottom about, how that's happening.
Right. And I was going to make this question next. And Gutter, I got your question in the chat room. I'm going to rephrase it here a little bit here because he is asking in regards to seeing creatures, can we not find them because they're paranormal? But I want to add to that because my question was kind of along the same too, if you don't mind. So, Ron, when it comes to cryptids, how do we see them? You've been in the forest. You've been researching all of this. How do we get that experience in order to have that sighting or that opportunity to have an encounter?
Well, that's another great question, and it's evolved more and more that I investigate. A lot of times you think it's like the perfect storm. You're in the right place at the right time, kind of like Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin whenever they photographed, the Sasquatch there at Bluff Creek. That's one thing. But I've also talked to people throughout my years of research where one person will see it and the other person will not see it. So sometimes it seems like some of these encounters are very subjective, that one person, for whatever reason, has access to this encounter. And I think whenever we talk about your experiences, that's pretty much what it comes out to be, doesn't it? I mean, it's almost as if you are gifted this type of experience, that it chooses to reveal itself to certain people. But I think whenever we talk about cryptids, we're talking about a very unique encounter that, whether it's a flesh and blood animal or a paranormal animal, it really does change the person's outlook forever. It's it systemically changes the person. They're never the same way again. Whenever I do my conferences, I've spoken to a lot of people who are avid hunters or avid outdoorsmen, very big guys. They come up and they say, you don't believe in this crap, do you? And I say, I keep an open mind. And then they walk away, and 10 minutes they come back and there's tears rolling out of their eyes, and they tell me about an encounter that they had. These people are not making it up. There's something is going on. And whenever we talk about the witness, the experiencer of this particular thing, sometimes it seems as if it's really not something that happens as serendipity, but it's something that happens almost as this entity is gifting itself and revealing itself to a particular person.
Well, and that's the trouble I have is then it opens up a whole plethora of questions as to why that person. Why is this happening now? Why does this one person get all the experiences? Look, I've had that question posed to me where a lot of people say, well, why did you have all of these experiences, Dave? And I've said the same thing to people like Samantha Mowat and to Lorien Fenton and other people like this. Why you? Why is this happening to you? Why have they felt comfortable in order to make you the attractant? What is special about you? And I'm not saying that insultingly, but that's the question that always seems to come up.
Sure. And, the years that I've done research into hauntings and ghost phenomenon, it seems like some people just simply are more open to this particular phenomenon, this whatever is going on. There are some people that just have a knack of seeing ghosts. And whenever people experience a cryptid, it might be along that same line, that there is either some sort of energy that person is giving off, that they're attracted. These beings are attracted to them in some sort of metaphysical way, or there's something else might be going on, almost as if these people have to be a messenger for what they have seen. And I don't want to sound like something, some sort of pseudo-religious type of statement here, but it seems as if a lot of these people have to give these things a voice to get the word out that what they've seen for whatever reason. I don't know if there's a great awakening coming a part of us. The idea of that we're entering a time whenever there's an enlightenment going on. I mean, that's a possibility. If you look at the world around us, whenever things are crashing down, that may make sense in some angles. I like to look at every single perspective that I can. And at the end of the day, it does seem as if some people are just more open to these experiences than others. And I don't know why. Has it not been indoctrinated out of them? A lot of people that have had this experience haven't even heard of some of these cryptids, yet they're seeing them. So it's not like they have a preconceived notion of what's going on. The vast majority of people that have witnessed these things, whether we're talking about ghosts or we're talking about cryptids, don't want to be in that position. they would rather not have had this experience. But for some reason, they have had this experience, so they're trying to deal with it. And because they're trying to deal with it, I'm trying to make sense of that as well.
Crypto guru Ronald Murphy is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Ron, every little town has their own legends, their own folklore, their own history of hauntings, of whether it's at museums or there's always, I mean, let's face it, I hate to say it this way, but every town, and it doesn't matter how big or small, has a murder house in it. It's weird how that works. But, you know, or plane crashes or train crashes or mines collapsing where dozens, if not hundreds of people passed away over the years. You know, we all see these ghosts in these areas, and we all see and hear the stories of the mountain man or the monsters or Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Are there any stories out there across North America in these little towns or in these big cities that really stick out to you as thinking, yeah, this one is true?
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite places is in Newfoundland. Now, I like the way Canadians say Newfoundland because I can't say it properly. What is the correct pronunciation of Newfoundland?
Well, Newfoundland.
Yeah,
if you're in the east, or Newfoundland.
Yeah. You know, I've heard it several different ways.
And there's also Newfoundland.
That's right, Newfoundland. That's right. That place seems, and I've never been there, but that place seems like a melting pot for all things strange. Whether we're talking about the UFO crash in Shag Harbor, there has been a great incident up there that's been vastly recorded and investigated time and time again about the attack of a giant squid. We have fairy lore up there. We have Bigfoot sightings. So whatever's going up in Newfoundland is a relatively, I mean, that is just a unique place. It seems that as if there's a gravitational force pulling in everything paranormal there. And not only paranormal phenomenon, but also cultural phenomenon. Because in North America, that is the first landing place for the Vikings in Lonzo Meadows around 1000 AD. So whatever is going on there is definitely a draw, a magnetism, some sort of gravity that's pulling things in. And I think whenever you talk about like these little towns that have these kind of things going on, here in my neck of the woods, we have a place called Fayette County, which is the next county over. And a lot of high strangeness goes on there. Black cat sightings, UFO encounters, sometimes Bigfoot seen in conjunction with UFO encounters. And not only that, there's a lot of hauntings as well. And if you would investigate the name of Fayette County, the name Fayette means little fairy in French. And if you look across this country here in the United States, it seems that places that are named Fayette have very strange things that are associated with it. So one of my assumptions during all this research that I do is that it's very possible that whenever people name these places, it was not a very little pretty name to put on the town, but almost to serve as a warning, kind of like here be dragons on ancient medieval seafaring maps. So I think that is the truth. Every little town has something strange to it, but it's these other towns that have like just a multitude of strange things occurring. That's the ones that really draw me in.
Yeah, me too. And you know what, Ron? I've said to numerous people, and mainly my buddy Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada. We call him Merle around here. And like I've said to him more and more, I said, I want to see one of these television shows take the time to go on a road trip, much like they do for the television show American Pickers, and go town to town, learning of the legends and setting up the ghost tours there. Because there are so many little towns out there who have their own stories that are just dying to be told, whether it's in a book, whether it's on television or on the radio or whatever it may be. They just deserve to have that story told, and yet here we are, and we can't get it out there because nobody is willing to do it.
That's right. Well, I've had a show that I've proposed on numerous times that I think would be very interesting called the Paranormal Roadshow, where you simply get in a bus and you travel around to all these little towns and investigate what truths might lie behind the legends, whether we're talking about ghosts or unsolved murders or what have you. But there is something to be said about that, and to kind of just go out there, experience the local charm of the place, go to the county fair, eat at the local diner, and just talk to people about the strange things that go on there. This idea that I have, I think that's a great thing. But I even have a title for it, the Paranormal Roadshow. You set on out and you head on out and you see what you can find and see what you can uncover. Look, within a day's drive, I mean, really, you could set it up that every single episode is a day's drive away from your last place. And we could investigate things like the sheep squatch. We could investigate things like Mothman sightings, Thunderbird sightings, Bigfoot hauntings. So if anybody is out there listening and they want to put a show together, I say it's going to be me, Dave Scott, Brian Bowden. Put us in one of those converted school buses called a schoolie, and we will go out there and we will give you the best show available.
I agree. And none of us will shave.
That's the rule. You know what? That's absolutely the case. And none of us will shave. And then all the people out there that sell beard creams and things like that will sponsor us, and we will put their signage on the side of our schoolie as we travel about.
Interesting. I think that's a great idea. And, I'm surprised nobody's done it. I really am surprised.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem with paranormal entertainment is that it's just that. It's entertainment. The idea of people just sitting out there and maybe not coming upon anything that's earth-shattering. I mean, look, people watch these shows because they want to see, some sort of demon possession, or they want to see these things that move around. But I think that there's something to be said about the stories themselves. There's something to be said about the local folklore and the local color behind these things. People talking in a bar. Yeah, people talking in a bar about, the little gremlin they saw running across a football field or something. These stories are just as fascinating, if not more fascinating, than these shows that go out there with the night vision cameras and they may or may not pick up a shadow moving. I'd much rather hear real people talking about these things. I think it would make for great, fascinating television. And I think that we just need to find the right person that will buy this. We set up our schoolie, we take off, we interview people. Done deal. I can see us going on for years and years. We'll write a little travel book about all of our encounters. And, we will really get the message out there that, all these little towns are very unique. And at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all looking for answers to things that go bump in the night.
The crypto guru, Ronald Murphy, is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I got to ask you, in regards to that, though, how much of a disservice, in your opinion, as not only investigators, researchers, but weekend warriors as well, whether it's paranormal or supernatural, whatever you're looking for, how much are we losing in this field by not investigating? Everybody wants to go to places like Gettysburg. They want to go to places like Waverly Hills. And I'm sorry, every time I see Waverly Hills mentioned, it's nothing against the place or how haunted it is or the horrific story and backstory behind that place. I'm just not interested. Doesn't interest me at all. What I want to know is driving through the deserts of Nevada or through the northern ranges of the Canadian provinces, when you come around this corner and there's this town that is literally half alive and half the buildings are closed, looks like half the buildings haven't been opened in the last half century or more. I want to know those ghost stories. I want to know what's happening there. That's what intrigues me, is telling those stories, not going to the same places that everybody else goes. I'm sick of hearing of them, and I realize that may be a pet peeve, Ron, but how many stories are we missing out on?
Yeah. Tons. And that is the thing, right? These places have become iconic. and like Gettysburg, and as you said, Waverly Hills, Moundsville Penitentiary in West Virginia. It's really been kind of saturated. I think, look, I live in an area that has had a lot of sightings of ghosts in French and Indian War battlefields. Nobody ever talks about that. Nobody talks about Revolutionary battlefields. Nobody talks about First Nations areas that are sacred and yet have things going around them. I think that especially as somebody that is a fan of the of this as well too, I watch these programs as well. I would much rather sit down and watch about something that I've never heard about before than watching the same thing over and over again. There's a place called Wendigo Lake, and apparently there's a spirit of a Wendigo that's haunting that place. That's a place that I would love to go to and talk to the locals and set up a boots on the ground exploration into that area as well too. Love to be able to do that. Newfoundland with its fairy sightings, I would love to be able to do that. I would like to go to investigate some of the mounds that are scattered throughout throughout North America, and all the tales of giants being discovered underneath them, buried underneath these places. Nobody ever talks about this kind of stuff. That's the kind of programming that I would like to see out there. I would like to see something that's innovative, something that we've never seen before, because whenever I watch a show about Waverly Hills, I know what's going to happen in that program. I want to go investigate places where there was a sighting of a werewolf, or let's go down to New Orleans and check out some of the vampire war that's happened down there. These would be exciting shows that every episode would have something different. One week we're investigating ghosts, the other one Bigfoot, the other one UFOs. Let's get this done, man. Let's get this done. The three of us on the road sharing a beer with the locals, talking about legends, and then going out in the woods at night with a camera to see what you and I can find. See if it is subjective. See if we are, one of these people that are open to these kind of things, and see if we can draw anything out. I think that it would be a great show, and hopefully the right people are out there listening, and they say, you know what? I want to fund this because not only will it make us money in the entertainment realm, but at the end of the day, we might be onto something here. We might be able to get some answers. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna ask the Magic 8 Ball this, because I have a Magic 8 Ball in the studio here. I'm gonna ask: is this a good idea for the Guru to bring forward, since he's got lots of television contacts? Here we go. Let's see what the Magic 8 Ball says. I stole this idea from Richie G from Goof On Radio, and the answer is, it is decidedly so.
Right. Oh.
Guru,
we
need to do this. We need to do this.
Well, I think if enough of your listeners are out there saying this needs to happen, they start, going to the History Channel or start going to the Travel Channel, what have you. I think that would be ideal. They would get to see Dave Scott's lovely mug on the television rather than listen to you on the radio.
No, we want to win. We want to win listeners, my friend. We want to win. We want to win them. No, but seriously, we got to bring Merle along, because every team should have a Merle on it. It's very rare. You need a good manly name like Merle out there. All right, Ron.
Does he have a beard? Does he have a beard?
No. Well, if he grew a beard, it would be like 3 chin hairs. He's got like his chin is like Homer J. Simpson's head, but that's okay. That's okay. Ron, I'm gonna get you to hold on here, because we are going to go to break at the top of the hour. 1 hour down, 2 hours to go on Spaced Out Radio tonight. The Crypto Guru, Ronald Murphy, is our guest. Go to Amazon, pick up his entire On series. It's one of the best cryptid series out there. Very cheap, very well worth the reads. He's one of the best. CryptoGuru.net. We'll be back with hour 2 right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at Kajans.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together, we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you'd know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Second hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for tuning us in, especially if you're listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and on the digital side on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Oh, Clam, where did you find this one? Poofite. Poofite. It's spelled Poophyte. Is it Poophite or Poofite? That is awesome. This may be one of the best clam words ever. You know, use your password wisely, space travelers, as the clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. I can't stop laughing over that password. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and... Oh, my goodness. Oh, we just just threw this one in the garbage. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. The Crypto Guru is here. We got guru time going on the mighty SOR tonight. Ronald Murphy. You can find all of his books on Amazon. Check out his On series. Honestly, and I'm not saying this because Ron is a friend, but he is one of the most eloquent writers out there in the cryptid world. You want to read his books, so go support him. Ronald J. Murphy Jr. on Amazon, thecryptoguru.net. Guru, welcome back.
Hey, it's great to be here. And as I said at the outset, time is flying, my friend. Time is flying.
I know. My friend, we have a live YouTube chat that goes on during the show. And one of our listeners here is in Malaysia. And I didn't know we had anybody listening in Malaysia. And I think it's absolutely great. Thank you, Rama Flash, for tuning us on in. I hope if this is your first time that you're enjoying the show, and I hope to earn your listening ears to come on back again. And he is wondering if there are any cryptid stories from Malaysia.
And indeed, my friend, there are. And I don't want to impress too many people here that I know this kind of stuff. But whenever I was writing my book on Wildman tracking Bigfoot through history, one of the folklores that I found was something called the Orang Mawas of Malaysia. And this is described as about an 8 to 10 foot tall bipedal creature. It goes back to about the 1800s. There were sightings since about the 1800s. Usually, whenever that occurs, that has to do with colonialization more than the indigenous population know about these things. But from about 1870s is whenever there starts coming out the reports by the white man that comes into the area. But yeah. It's very interesting. The Orang Mawas, the same root word for orangutan, meaning something like, wild man. It's an interesting thing. Again, talking about this idea that with cultures that span the world come up with these kind of archetypes for this creature. But yeah, the Orang Mawas in Malaysia, absolutely. Right there for more Bigfoot-like encounters.
All right, we got a question coming from, who is it? Darcy here. And he is wondering, or she, I'm not sure. Darcy's one of those go-between names. Darcy is wondering if you know anything, because I know you love your sea monsters.
I do love my sea monsters.
If you've ever heard of the Turtle Lake Monster in west central Saskatchewan.
Not that, I know of it. I don't know too much about this kind of stuff, but whenever I was writing my Lake Monsters books, I have a lot of accounts from all the Great Lakes about people describing very large turtles. The state of Indiana, of all places, talks about a turtle the size of a Volkswagen. Now, what's interesting is in the fossil record, there were indeed ancient turtles that got to humongous sizes. And we're talking about the sizes of, bigger than a car. Now, what is interesting about this is that, to me, the idea that a creature could still exist in our oceans that date back to the age of the dinosaurs is very intriguing. Now, when we talked about these flying reptiles that are seen in Arkansas and Texas, a little bit harder to swallow than the open oceans. That's a relatively stable environment, and something like that could remain hidden in the oceans. And if someone would tell me that there was an extinct turtle that was uncovered of tremendous proportions, I would not be too much in awe. I would think that that's very plausible. But what is crazy about this stuff is that there are lakes around the world that talk about giant turtles. And most of these lakes are formed from the time of the last ice age, around 14,000 years ago. And so there would be how a turtle that size would get into that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I do not believe that particular lake in Saskatchewan has any kind of linkage to the ocean. So it's a little strange that something like that would get into that particular lake. But yes, absolutely. And I like turtles, just from a point of view. I'm a big fan of turtles. But yeah, the idea that there's large turtles out there, absolutely, I think is very, very plausible.
All right. And I look at it too, because right close to me, just a few hours south, is Ogopogo at Okanagan Lake.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then when I lived on Vancouver Island, where I started my radio career, I would go fishing in Cameron Lake, not realizing that there's a lake monster in there too. Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
And that's so
got to
cool,
stop
though.
this.
Yeah, because all these lakes around the world, Ireland, Scotland, of course we think about Loch Ness, but there's a lot of lakes in Scotland that have lake monsters attached to them, as well as in the north of England, and Ireland. but any large body of water has some sort of mystery attached to it for whatever reason. Here in Western Pennsylvania, we don't have a lot of lakes. We have a lot of rivers, but very, very few natural lakes. All of them are man-made lakes. And even in those man-made lakes, people see strange things occurring. Now, my question is how they would get in there, unless, of course, getting back to the whole metaphysical thing, that somehow water acts as a portal or an energy storage house to unleash certain things. I'm not sure. But it's one of those things where we never quite know what's below the surface. But not only, do people see sea monsters, but people are also reporting things like turtles in a lot of these lakes as well. So, but Canada's a great place. Look, where you're at, Dave, you're very lucky because not only do you have the idea of Sasquatch up there, but you have lake monsters. And in Vancouver, you have a great history of mermaid sightings. There's a lot of strange things happen in your neck of the woods.
Well, and I'll add to that because this weekend I am actually going to go over to an acquaintance's property. He's got 10 acres, and about a month and a half ago, he found his dogs hanging out with a dog man.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So now the dogs did not attack. The dogs didn't do anything. They were just hanging out by this creature, and when he called his dogs, the creature stood up on two legs and walked away. He was about 300 feet away from it, uphill.
Wow. So it had the form of a canine, correct?
Yes.
And wow.
So I'm going to check that out this weekend because I just need to.
I would like to see that. I would like to see that story. And if somebody would fund us, we could pull our motorhome right up there and start doing the investigation right there. These are the kind of stories. Nobody ever talks about this kind of stuff. They really don't. They talk about, like you said, all the premier cases and everything. But there's a lot of people here in my neck of the woods as well, too. People reporting seeing these dogmen, peering through the cornfields at them or hanging out at the periphery of their yard, seen at the end of their driveway. But nobody's really making much of a fuss about this kind of stuff. But the dogman is one of these phenomenons. I mean, really, it could be very, very scary if you think about there's something like this going on.
Oh, yeah. And that's the problem. We don't know when those encounters are going to happen. We don't know what causes them. We don't know if they're coming in from energy portals or if they are coming in from the forest or whatever it may be. We just don't know. And that's the intriguing part for me about this entire mystery is we just don't know where the heck they are coming from.
Right,
and I go back, Ron, to the black triangle I saw with friends on my patio. This is going back to the spring of 2013. And it was like us and that we witnessed a door open up in the clear sky, even though we didn't see a door. But the way this craft disappeared in the sky, it was like it was flying through a giant door. Because when the further it went away from us, the more it disappeared.
That's right. Yeah, I've witnessed strange lights in the woods as well too, not in the sky but in the woods, and it looked as if, for lack of a better word or an analogy, it appeared as if a door opened. That's what it looked like to me. That there was an energy concentration, and something was allowed to open up, and as quickly as it opened, it shut again. Now, whenever we, to kind of transition back to the idea of the dogman thing as well, too. We're talking about the idea of portals. We're talking about the things of interdimensionality. But the other thing that we have to consider as well, too, and this is a very ancient tradition, is that person witnessing something that is able to transform from one state of being into another. That's the other thing. Whenever we talk about werewolves, we're talking about things that are able to transform themselves. Dogmen are usually seen as, a very stable entity. It's in one form. But of course, hearkening back to the ancient tales of werewolves, there's transformation involved. That's a whole other can of worms that you can open up as well.
Ronald Murphy, the crypto guru, is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Ron, when we talk about cryptids and we talk about these creatures, there is a lot of folklore that they could be interdimensional, that they may be able to jump through dimensions, and that's why we don't find bodies. That's why we don't find any real true evidence outside of blurry pictures and a 1967 video of Bigfoot. All right. What is your thoughts in regards to the whole interdimensional side of everything? Is it real? Is it fake? Is it something that we can't cut out because we just don't know the answer to? Your opinion, please.
Well, I'll tell you, whenever I started out in this field, I was dead set against interdimensionality because that always seemed like a pseudoscience. It seemed as if that's something that couldn't be proved. It was a cop-out. It was the lazy way of doing research. If you can't explain it, you just say, oh, it's interdimensionality. However, the more I do research, the more it seems as if there is something like that going on. And in the idea of interdimensionality is not so sci-fi anymore. Mainstream science is starting to pick up on this. And not only the idea of interdimensionalities, but also multiple dimensions. So I think to look at reality, I think that we only see a little bit of it. And I have the analogy of an onion. So we have an onion, but if you peel off the layers, even though those layers are very, very thin, you get something, you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and it kind of overlies and enmeshes very, very, tightly, almost imperceptible if there's any differences. But you can separate it at a very minute level. So what's to say that there's not another reality right below our reality, and sometimes our two worlds blend into one another? I think this is something to be taken into account whenever we look at ghost investigations, that we might not be dealing with the souls of the dearly departed, but we might be dealing with another intelligent entity that exists in a realm right below ours or right within ours that we very rarely see. And on certain occasions, a lot of people talk about, thunderstorms and certain batteries, that they use. They're talking about the ghost being able to draw energy. What happens if it's not the ghost that's drawing energy in order to materialize, but these kind of perfect storms, whether it's an electrical storm outside or, the battery power, whatever? What happens if that is the necessary trigger, the necessary energy needed to open up these portals to allow these things to seep through every now and then? I think that we should look into the idea of interdimensionality. And what is going on, Dave, in the world of paranormal research is that if you're a Bigfoot investigator and you don't believe in interdimensionality, anytime a report comes in that kind of steers in that direction, you're going to throw it out. You're not going to take that into account. Same way with UFOs or dogman or lake monsters or anything like this. That's the reason why I keep an open mind. I think that there is more to all of this stuff than meets the eye. I think that there is more than just the idea of flesh and blood. I think that's too easy of an answer. I think there's something else going on here, and why we see them at certain times, and why they can seemingly appear and disappear at will as well.
Mm-hmm. Question from Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio from Greco. Ron, is it possible for a person to time slip to a point in their own life only to realize it when that time point comes to pass?
Wow. I was talking to my daughter Willow about this the other day because we were talking about, she said, it's like I've already seen this before. I said, there's a name for it, deja vu. People talk about this stuff all the time. But yeah, I think that there is something to be said about that. I think that the idea that we are kind of like, we could be in a situation, say, I've been here before, or I know about this before. But the question that was posited right now, that's a very interesting thing. But I do believe in the idea that we have at least had a glimpse into different times within our lives. When we think about time, we think of time as being very linear. And in actuality, it's not. And time is not a constant thing. It changes from place to place as well. So that's all illusionary. That's a creation that we have made. So if we look at time not as a timeline, but almost as a mesh where things can all kind of intersect and go this way and that way, it's very possible that we can, at certain times, for whatever reasons, jump back and forth. Or, now this is the other thing, too, concerning deja vu. What happens if there's multiple realities where we exist in our present form, just in different situations? And when we have seen something that we call deja vu, that we are simply picking up on what we've seen in that other reality. That's another thing that's quite startling. But again, this isn't something off the Sci-Fi Channel. This is something that mainstream science is working on. And I think that really kind of opens up this world of the paranormal into a completely different realm.
All right, let's go to Redheaded Lisa's question. She is asking, Guru, do you believe in Nessie? Do you believe the Loch Ness Monster is real?
Well, I'll tell you what, back in graduate school, I actually went there. I've been to Loch Ness. I went the entirety of the lake. I even went down the Caledonian Canal. What's interesting is whenever you talk about the legend of Loch Ness, and it's a quite ancient legend. I mean, it goes probably back, it goes to the 6th century whenever St. Columba witnesses it. But what's interesting is whenever he witnessed this monster, it wasn't in the lake itself. It was in the river Ness, several miles away. And the river Ness does open up into the ocean. So we're talking about something that was in the river. And not necessarily in the lake itself, although it could come and go as it pleased. But there's also lithographic interpretations carved on rock by the Pictish people that represents something that looks like a sea serpent, what we would call a sea serpent. But if you look at the loch, its waves are very unique. It's very black water. It's almost like you're looking into a root beer rather than water. A lot of peat in it from washing off the hills and everything. So it's an unusual body of water, and it's very narrow, and it has a lot of wind, and it has a lot of different types of current activity in there. And the waves that break don't look like your typical waves. It looks as if it's a rolling snake of some kind. It almost looks like an undulating serpent underneath the surface. So from one point of view, from one, sociological point of view, that these people that lived around the lake, had a necessary fear of the water, so they would personify it into being a lake monster. That's a simple conclusion. But there are so many witnesses saying that there was something there. So if you would put me on the spot, I would tell you that I do believe that there was a Loch Ness monster. There was something in that loch at one time whenever it was opened up to the ocean. But after they put in the Caledonian Canal, it's very difficult now to get from the ocean to Loch Ness. Seals get into the loch. Dolphins still get into the loch. It is possible to get there, but it's a lot of work. And I suppose if a creature was so inclined, it could get there. Now, a lot of people say that it might be, some sort of giant eel, which is an extreme possibility. The author, Steve Alton, who wrote the book The Meg, on which the motion picture was based, he wrote a book called The Loch, and that's what he proposed as well, too, that it was some sort of giant eel in there, a conger eel, as a matter of fact. I think that's an easy explanation. I don't think that's necessarily the right one, because eels don't necessarily act the way this monster acts, and sometimes it's seen out of the water as well too in some of the very first initial reports. But I think that at one time that place was the home for an unidentified animal that was not cataloged by science. But right now, I think it would be almost impossible for anything to be existing there now.
Guru, thank you. We got the Crypto Guru for another hour here on Spaced Out Radio, Ronald Murphy. And his monster stories, your questions as well. on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. I want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. And our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and so much more. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show, and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. We bring in the crypto guru tonight, Ronald Murphy, and his website, cryptoguru.net. He is one of the most prolific writers when it comes to folklore, legends, and we're taking your questions as well tonight, because that's what the guru does when we have guru time around here. Ron can be found on Amazon, Ronald L. Murphy Jr. Get his On series. You will be pleasantly surprised. They're fantastic reads and very critically acclaimed. Guru, welcome back.
Hey, again, we are at less than an hour to go now, my friend. You understand that?
Yes, way too fast. Way too fast. Yeah, it's just something that I don't know how we do it, but it just happens each time, man. Each time you're on, it just gets a little faster each time. The chat room was moving very, very fast. So if you're in one of our chat rooms, like on YouTube, please retype your questions for Ron. Ron, I want to ask you about gnomes, trolls, goblins. This is kind of your forte with everything that you do. And I got to ask you in regards to this, we go back to fairy tales. How long have we watched these fairy tales come through where, it's all about, scaring children, and, you don't crawl under bridges because there's trolls there, and you go to bed at night so the goblins don't get you, and everything to do with that. And yet here we are, and there are people who still to this day believe that this is happening. What do you think? Yep. Garden gnomes real? Yeah, trolls under bridges?
Well, this is the cool thing. The word goblin is an interesting thing because it usually deals with some sort of entity that occupies a particular area. So what's so cool is that, one of our presidents, good old Teddy Roosevelt, he wrote a book called The Wilderness Hunter. And in The Wilderness Hunter, he recounts a story that was told to him about two trappers that encounter a large bipedal hair-covered creature, which, we would call a Bigfoot. But back then they did not have that word. So the word that he used was goblin. So the first time that Bigfoot was mentioned, one of the first times the Bigfoot was mentioned in American literature, it was called a goblin. Because it meant that it was something that it was unknown, that was haunting a particular area. So the word, a lot of our ideas come from media, the idea of Harry Potter and all that stuff. But really, when we talk about goblins and fairies, they're not so much these little whimsical creatures as something that, were to be feared. Oftentimes when we talk about fairies, we think about things that are very small. But in England and Yorkshire, there is one fairy that is 12 feet tall, and it will sit and wait for travelers on country roads, and it will waylay them and remove their heads and wear the decapitated head around its belt as a souvenir. So we're not talking really about these little creatures like a Tinkerbell. We could talk about shape-shifting creatures. We could talk about things that turn into wolves and things that turn into to giant birds, which is one of the reasons why I'm so intrigued about fairy lore, is because that really can explain things like the Thunderbird or Bigfoot creatures or Dogman creatures. Are what we seeing actual individual creatures? Are we seeing manifestations of the fairy realm itself? Now, a book that I wrote last year entitled On Fairies, I go into that a little bit. This is a massive book, as a matter of fact. But I try to trace this out and think that when we talk about fairies, let's get that Victorian notion out of our mind about these little creatures and start thinking of it from a completely different perspective.
The crypto guru Ronald Murphy is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Question coming from the chat room from, let me see here. Where is it? Where to go? Ross is asking, what's your thoughts on the legend of the Hounds of Baskerville in Britain?
Oh, yes. Again, one of my favorite things whenever it comes to the cryptids, of course, is these canid cryptids. I love werewolves ever since I saw the Wolfman with Lon Chaney with my mom, whenever I was a little kid. I've been fascinated with werewolves. And in my book that I wrote on Dogman, Tracking the Werewolf Through History, I looked at a lot of these sightings of these. Now, one of the reasons why I put these types of creatures in there is because they seem to act with a human intelligence. And that is really the impetus behind the name werewolf. The WERE at the very beginning of werewolf is a medieval term that means man. So when we get wolfman, so it's a man wolf. And one of the reasons it's described that way is not only because of its transformation, but also because it acts with an intelligence, unlike an animal. But what's interesting about England, it has all these great tales of these creatures, these dog creatures that guard or haunt churchyards or graveyards. They've been called the church grim. They've been called the black shook, what have you. But to trace a timeline, to kind of connect the dots, it's interesting that these animals that are seen in England are also seen in America, not only around Native American graveyards, but also around the ancient mound graveyards of the ancient Native Americans and First Nations people as well too. So it's staying in line with its predecessors around the world. They inhabit a very particular area, these liminal zones, this area between two different realities, which is very interesting to me. But of course, the Hound of the Baskervilles, popularized by Sherlock Holmes, But this all goes back to the idea of these black shucks, these church grims. It's a long tradition of these particular spirits that inhabit a particular area. Not only do they inhabit more the churchyards and graveyards, but also moors and very desolate places where people tend to stay away from.
All right, let's get to Fap's question here. And Fap is asking, what about glowing red eyes and a human-like laughter with these gnomes/trolls? He's seen one.
Okay, now let me ask you, where is he from? Is he on the YouTube chat room?
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is interesting, my friend. Where do you live?
Well, there's a 20-second delay, so there's not.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, well, it's interesting because if he is from an area where these kind of things are really popularized, like we talked about Newfoundland or portions of Maine or the redwood forests of Northern California, these places where these things are seen. That could be one explanation, but if it's an area where there is a lot of ghostly activity, that could be another explanation as well, too. That's the reason I asked the question. Glowing red eyes is, if we're talking about a biological component in there, that would be a bioluminescence, which is not seen in mammals. Okay, so we have to think about something else, which comes into the idea that usually whenever you see something red, that's indicative of something that's dangerous to stay away. So that's whenever I get into the whole idea of the use of infrasound, the idea, the possibility of memory implantation, or somehow being able to transfer an idea into a human mind. So that's one of the reasons why I asked the question. And also the idea that there might be, some sort of demonic interference as well, too. But I have indeed heard about these creatures that are seen, that people will call them gnomes or call them elves because they can't think of another term. One investigation that I actually had, there was he wasn't a child, he was about 15 years old, but he went down to his kitchen to get a drink in the middle of the night, and he said there was a goblin in his kitchen, getting back to goblins, Dave, and it had glowing red eyes. And it ran and disappeared into the wall. Now, again, are we talking about a haunting? Are we talking about the manifestation of a particular spirit? Are we talking about a creature that can assume different forms and their glowing red eyes as a warning? We talk about demonic activity. But there's something about glowing red eyes or black eyes that so hits a nerve within us, it sends cascades of terror down our spine. And there has to be a reason for that. There has to be a biological reason why that happens. But again, if he happens to let you know where he's from, I would be very interested in talking to him. And I'll tell you what, if anybody is listening and wants to talk to me, Ronald L. Murphy, Jr., Ronald L. Murphy, Jr. at yahoo.com. Shoot me an email. I'd gladly talk to you guys anytime. Like I said, I like to investigate as thoroughly as possible. So if the gentleman that's talked about that particular encounter, we could talk about if there's hauntings in that particular area or any other kind of strange sightings. But yeah, I would like to follow up on that.
All right, Crypto Guru is here on Spaced Out Radio tonight. All right, I think we got a couple more questions here for you. The chat room is moving so fast tonight, man. It is moving so fast. Let's see here. Where are we? Well, let's move on. Let's move on while we're waiting, and I'll find this. Ron, we hear a lot about dimensions and portals. Do you believe that these creatures, that some of them, are literally able to jump from portal to portal or dimension to dimension?
Wow. Yeah. Okay. If there is an interdimensionality, in order for them to do that, there would have to be, I would assume, some sort of trigger mechanism. There would have to be a way that would allow them to be able to generate the energy needed to open up a portal to jump into another portal. That's very, very interesting to talk about, which is one of the things that you could say about UFOs. Are we talking about things that are extraterrestrial from another solar system? Or are we talking about interdimensional beings? And the ships that we see, are there modes of transporting themselves from one dimension to another? So instead of covering light years in space, they're actually covering dimensions. That's a very interesting thought right there. But in order for a creature to be able to do that, there would have to be some way to trigger an opening of this, if we are indeed talking about hypothetical energy needed to do such a thing. But what I have heard, and I've also experienced, I told you this story last time I was on. There was a trackway in front of my house, and I actually sent you the pictures about something had stepped out into my yard, and it was a right foot. It was a right foot. And then there was a left foot and right foot. But it looked to me as if something, and this was in the middle of my yard. It was a snow-covered morning. There was, pristine, no tracks of any other thing except these barefooted tracks in my yard. And they appeared. And there's no way to describe it. It is as if it stepped out of something. It gradually materialized into something solid, and then it disappeared just as quickly it was there. I don't know how else to tell you what happened, but that's the trackway that I found, and I photographed it and I sent it to you. But yeah, it started out with just a right foot, and then a left foot and right foot, and then the trackway, and then it just came to a dead stop again and vanished. So whatever it was not completely in solid form. And it kind of just materialized in a particular area in my yard and went for maybe 50 yards before it vanished again. So how does that happen? That is not something that happens within our physics. So if it doesn't happen within our physics, then we have to talk about happening in some way that we simply don't understand. So to me, it looked as if it stepped out of one realm, kind of forged around in our world for a little bit, then step back into another world. I know that sounds very, rather ludicrous. It sounds like the plot of a novel, but I'm telling you what I saw, and there's no other way that I can rationalize how that happened.
Guru, we have a question from Titus in our chat room for you, as we got about 6.5 minutes before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. He is asking, what's your thoughts on black-eyed kids?
Oh, man. I did a conference with Ken Gerhard in Ohio. It's probably 6 years ago now. And he was talking about the black-eyed kids. And that was kind of like a new thing. But now it's happening even more. And not only black-eyed children, but a new phenomenon of black-eyed seniors, black-eyed elderly people are out there as well, too.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
Leave the silver hairs alone. Leave us silver hairs alone.
Yeah. Well, what's so frightening about this, Dave, is that whatever these things are, they're assuming the form of something that's very benign, whether it's a children or an elderly person. It's something that we are drawn to. It's something that we want to help. But whenever you get close to whatever these things are, they turn out to be some sort of an abomination, as if they are a counterfeit of what they're trying to be. And whenever it goes into that kind of territory, then I think we're talking about something demonic. And I don't want to come from a Judeo-Christian point of view, but I'm talking about something that is something that's malevolent out there. I mean, you can look at this from other points of view. If you would go into the Muslim aspect of the jinn, we're talking about a malevolence that exists within our world. And for some reason, wants to attack us, wants to set itself up against us. And I think that when we talk about these things, there is really no other way to describe them, is a demonic energy taking the form of something that we would want to seek, to reach out for and to help and interact with. And that's a very, very scary thing.
I can see where that would be scary. I mean, the fact that people are having these experiences, the fact that, we are having these nightmares, because, we still look at children as being innocent, Ron. And I've talked to David Weatherly about this as well. We still look at children being innocent. So, I mean, when we sit there and we talk about being scared and freaked out by these kids, should we be?
Well, sure. I have done a lot of ghost investigations whenever we're talking about investigators going and they hear the laughter of a little girl, or they see the form of a little girl running, or, something, a form of a child in a dress with the ribbons flowing and everything, the whole 9 yards. And that is because whatever form that entity is assuming is it wants to kind of suggest that it is harmless and it's innocent, when in fact it's trying to have some sort of control over you for whatever reason. Whenever you kind of pervert the idea of innocence, that's even more terrifying. Whenever you take something that is innocent and whenever you get very close to it, it becomes something totally different. That is really where the fear factor lies. Not so much that there's a demon out there, but it's able to assume the form of something that is endearing and that you want to approach and you want to help. And it kind of leads you into this kind of, deadly spiritual trap. It's a very, very scary thing.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Where do you think they come from? I mean, I look at black-eyed kids the same way I look at Men in Black. Okay, nobody seems to know where they come from. I mean, yes, there's human ones. We've learned all about them. But there's all these people saying that they're aliens. They're aliens dressed up as humans. And I'm wondering, do you think there is something demonic about these? Do you think they're aliens? Do you think they're maybe baby Men in Blacks? I don't know.
Yeah. The idea of hybrids sometimes is stated that these are the hybridization of humans and aliens. And that's what you get. Whenever you think about the eyes of the gray and kind of put those onto the face of a child, possible. But then why are they trying to get into your house? And there are some, videotapes of these things out there. You just see these two little children walking down a country road and they come and they ring the doorbell. They're wanting to gain entry into your house for some reason. And whenever we talk about like the vampire or anything, a lot of this malevolence has to be invited in. And whenever it's invited in, it kind of spreads like a plague within your house. So it doesn't seem really true to life if an alien is ringing your doorbell wanting in. And sometimes it's not ringing your doorbell. Sometimes they are feigning that they are distressed along the side of the road and they want to gain entry into your car. But it's always that there needs to be some sort of permission that you grant them in order to enter into your space, if that makes any sense. And once you grant them that permission, it's kind of like a test. Once you grant them that permission, then what happens? I assume all hell breaks loose. And because I assume that, that's the reason I'm thinking that we're dealing with something on the demonic scale or on the scale of the jinn rather than something extraterrestrial.
We don't seem to hear a lot of black-eyed kids reports. It seems like everything, it goes in cycles. And hopefully the black-eyed kids stay away for a while because they freak me out. I don't want one of those experiences. I do not. Ron, I'm going to get you to hold on because guess what? We are through 2 hours already, my friend. 2 hours down, 1 hour to go on Spaced Out Radio. We will continue with your questions for the guru. I know they are backing up, so, we will get to them. Ron's website, cryptoguru.net. If you want to check it on out, go to Amazon, pick up his On series. Ronald L. Murphy Jr. is the name to check on out. The Guru joins us for the next half hour on Spaced Out Radio coming up.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hey, Space Travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you with us, especially if you're listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and on the digital side on Revolution Radio and TalkStream Live. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do Dave the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam. Oh, I just think about tonight's password and I start laughing. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Poofite. Poofite is your password. As the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter if you haven't already, at Spaced Out Radio for the show, and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. For the final time tonight, we introduce the crypto guru, Ronald Murphy, cryptoguru.net, is his password and his for his website. So go log in. You can log in. It is his website. And he's got some fantastic books all over Amazon. Ronald L. Murphy Jr. He's one of the best out there. Great friend of this show. We're going to bring him back on in July as well. Because why? We can. That's why. Guru, welcome back.
Hey, you know what? We have mere minutes together now. Whenever we talk about, the start of the show, we have 3 hours. We're talking about like mere minutes to be together. I'm out of here at 2:30 in the morning. I think, isn't that right? So we have 21 minutes remaining.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to start off with Jessica's question here. She goes, I've seen shadow people with red eyes. What is up with the red eyes?
Exactly. Yes, I actually read that because I'm on there with these guys. I read that, and whenever whenever I deal with any kind of investigation, whenever it comes to hauntings, people are always asking that question or always saying that they've seen a creature with red eyes. Now, I was at a place in Ohio called Gretchen's Lock. This is a place where there's even a sign that was put up by the state of Ohio saying that this is a haunted place. Kind of a little interesting side note there, but it's a tourist attraction. But I was there with my daughter Willow several years ago, and we were going to investigate this lock and find out what was going on. And it's just pretty far back in the woods. And we were walking, and she said, Dad, there's something following us in the woods. And I said, oh, no, there's nothing going on. And it's about a mile trek back. And as we went a little bit further, she became more and more agitated. She started to cry, and she said, there's definitely something in these woods. And like a good father, I picked her up, and I took her to the lock because from a historical point of view, I really wanted to see this thing. And, ghosts notwithstanding, I just wanted to see the engineering that went into building this particular engineering endeavor. And I put her into the lock, the remnants that remained there. And I said, see, I told you there was nothing here. And I took her picture, and behind her was glowing eyes. That they could not be seen visually, but they that were there indeed on camera. We're talking about something that's either a warning, or we're talking about that this is an outward manifestation of an inward spiritual state. I think that is one of the ways that we can look at it, that there is things out there that try to make believe that there's something that they aren't. And one of the ways that they expose themselves is that they have these glowing eyes or some sort of deformity. Sometimes things are seen without any mouth. Sometimes things are seen without any eyes. It's as if they try to counterfeit, but they can't do it completely. The red eyes, though, is something that, people talk about staring into their souls or that they can see into their thoughts. It gets that intense. But I think that when we talk about the red eyes, we're talking about something that hits us on such a primordial level that we're talking about something that we know is instinctually evil and to stay away from.
All right, let's move on here. On Twitter, Greco is asking, question, if the black-eyed children kill people, then who is telling their story?
Right. That's true. Well, I'll tell you, there was one story about a truck driver that encountered these children along a road. He did not let them into their vehicle. He just merely saw them. He told his story, and a few days later, he died of a heart attack. I do not hear of anybody dying, or well, at least, of course, if they are killed by these entities, we wouldn't hear the story. We always hear the story after there's an encounter because these people don't let them in. But if people that do let them in, and there's unsolved murders that happen all the time and unsolved disappearances, so that may be indeed what had happened. But it seems as if you have this encounter with these children, it's not instantaneous death. It's something that happens, a few days later, a few weeks later, or it may not happen at all. So are these omens of things to come? Are they kind of like acting as banshees of some sort of warning? I'm not sure. But then again, like I said, there's always the chance that, the people that let these things into their house are found murdered and it goes unsolved, or they let them into the house and this person is never seen from again.
All right. Let us move on here because we got a question from Gary, who is asking, do you believe interdimensional travel is like what you see on the television series Sliders?
I don't know. I don't think that you can actually like set a clock on Back to the Future and get to that particular area. I think that when we talk about any kind of travel, kind of like Michael Crichton wrote in the book Timeline, you can get pretty close to a particular event, but you couldn't actually insinuate yourself into a particular date or moment in time. You can get close, it's almost like throwing a hand grenade. So if that is indeed a possibility, then I think that we can probably break through some sort of continuum, if you will, and get very close to something. But I don't think you can get to an exact moment. No.
No, eh? All right, let's go over to Eva's question, or pardon me, Pleiadian's question. Hatman, I know he's been talked about before, but what's the guru's stance on Hatman?
Yeah. And this is odd because I just spoke to a woman about 2 days ago regarding this. She witnessed a shadow creature that was about 10 feet tall that was wearing a hat. And this also falls under the whole genre of like the Slender Man as well, too. Why it has a hat, I have no idea. It's almost kind of like whenever Wes Craven wrote his Freddy Krueger, that he's hitting on some sort of nerve within all of us. This idea that something has a hat, it's something that's concealed. There's some sort of duplicity involved. I'm not sure what's going on, why it wears a hat. But again, this idea of a headpiece. But if you look at it, though, one of the things that I dealt with in my newest book on witches was the idea of the witch's headdress. This is something that has gone back to tombs that you can find going back about 5,000 years ago, whenever women or men who were believed to be shaman were unearthed in their graves wearing these cylindrical hats. Now, the hat man is usually seen wearing some sort of cowboy fedora type of hat, but the idea of a hat, of it containing some sort of power, is really in cultures all around the world, whenever it deals with a shamanic character that gains some sort of supernatural ability by wearing some sort of hat.
You mean it's just not a bald spot?
Well, that's why I wear mine. I mean, I think if you're a shadow creature, that's not the case. The thing is, it looks good. I got my hat, and I'll tell you the story. I never really wanted a hat. I've never been a hat guy, but I was on Amazon one time, and I found this really cool hat. And it said if you become an Amazon Prime member, you can have this hat the next day. I thought, are you serious? This was like 8 o'clock at night, and I'm going to say, I'm going to put this to the test. So I paid like $39 for my hat. And lo and behold, I had it the next day. So that's my story and why I wear a hat. And it also gives me some sort of credibility. It gives me street cred. But I'm starting to investigate more into the lines of different types of hats. I got a sweet looking ball cap here recently that it looks like I know what I'm talking about whenever I wear it. But yeah, it's one of those things where in high school I started to get receding hairline. I've never went completely bald. But, I don't have that Aslan mane that I used to have, whenever I was in college. Even though it was a little thinning, I still had you have thick hair, Dave. You have thick hair.
I have beautiful hair. I have beautiful hair. I'll lend you some. When we get our television show going, I will lend you some hair.
I will hold you to that, my friend.
Good. Leon is asking, his biggest question has always been, if a one-eyed purple people eater is chasing you, do you bring your lunch or take the bus?
Well, let's see here. I would say take the bus because there would be more people there to kind of back you up on that. And then you would get more of a validation into what particular cryptid is chasing you down.
Makes sense.
There's safety in numbers.
All right. And let me see here. Moving on. Fitness Girls wants to know about Okanagan Lake's Ogopogo. I still think, I'm telling you right now, I still think that's a sturgeon. I really do.
Right. Well, if you look at like the very initial reports of this thing going back to the early traders, they describe it as, something that appeared to be like a crocodile. And it really does sound like they were talking about a sturgeon, and they just simply didn't have a word for it. But I think that that's probably what we're talking about. Sturgeons are these are prehistoric animals that exist with us to this day. They don't have your typical scales. These this covering is more like an armor covering. They can get to massive sizes now. But could you imagine if you would go back 400 or 500 years, the size that these creatures would have got to? That's what we really can't fathom. If you would allow, without fishing going on and without any kind of commercial type of use of lakes, you could imagine left unchecked how big these animals could go. And I really think that when we talk about a lot of lake monsters, we're talking about animals that we do know about nowadays, but whenever white settlers came in there, they simply did not know what they were talking. They couldn't rationalize what they were seeing. And it's interesting because a lot of the reports associate these things with crocodiles, with reptiles, and that association is kind of stuck with them. So now they're seeing as sea serpents, some sort of reptilian creature that is inhabiting that particular lake. And I think that goes back to the eyewitness accounts by early explorers whenever they see a sturgeon. I agree with you totally, Dave.
I agree too, my friend. I agree too. All right. And, as we continue to move on here, and Filth wants to know if you know about Mokele Mbembe, and if so, do you think the dinosaurs still somewhere are walking along this planet?
And that's what we said at the initial onset of this show, Dave, is that what we would say is that they would almost have to be like the crocodile or the alligator and be in a kind of evolutionary stasis for 65 million years. There would be some adaptive changes, but they would have to be basically in the same form. Mokele Mbembe seems to be recognized by a lot of tribes, and as it goes, that if you would show some of the local pictures of different animals, they would always point to these long-necked sauropods like the Apatosaurus. But I think whenever they talk about these things, it sounds more as they're talking about a hippopotamus rather than a prehistoric creature. I think a lot of this is Western mentality projected onto these cultures, and they kind of pick it up and they either perpetrate the legend accidentally, kind of like the game of telephone that we talked about at the very beginning, or they're pulling one over on the smart white guys. I really think that has a lot to do with it as well too. But I think that what we're talking about with Mokele Mbembe is I think that this is probably a hippopotamus that has been mythologized into something that it simply is not. I would love to have dinosaurs out there. As a kid, I remember watching James Franciscus and Belly of the Guanji. And in Mexico, there was this valley where dinosaurs still existed. I would love for us to be able to find a place like Kong Island or Skull Island where King Kong and, various dinosaurs exist. Or, a place like the Lost World down in South America in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story. I would love for that to exist. But for that to happen is extremely unlikely because things do change. I mean, things have to adapt to stay alive. And the Earth has been through so many changes that for something to stay in a present form like a T-Rex or like a pterodon or any of those creatures, it seems highly unlikely. And for it to have a place in this world that is confined and these creatures exist there it just doesn't make a lot of scientific sense to me.
Guru, we got a question from Shanna who is asking, what's your thoughts on vampires? Do you think there are real vampires out there?
Well, there are absolutely real vampires out there, and my book on vampires, which it was released by Jonathan Downes a few years ago out of England, and it was a very difficult book to get here in the United States. But I'm going to be re-releasing it here probably within the next month or so in an American version. So that's going to be called On Vampires. And I have a whole section on modern vampires. I was surprised that there are so many people out there that identify themselves as vampires. And there are vampire clubs right now in places like New Orleans where you assume that would happen, but also New York City and Tokyo, where people get together and play is a little bit too light of a word, but they assume certain types of personas and interact as if they were vampires. Right now, if you were so inclined and you wanted to draw somebody's blood and drink it, you would readily be able to find people on certain internet sites that would allow you to do that. And there are plenty of people out there that do this. I mean, for sexual reasons, for psychological reasons, there's a lot of people that identify themselves as vampires. But what is cool about the evolution of the vampire is that it's moving from the sanguine vampire, which is the blood-drinking vampire, to almost a new age kind of tree hugger vampire and the environmental vampire. And these are people that identify themselves as vampires, but they feed off of natural earth energies. And they're very, so these are more sublime beings, and they don't do any kind of harm. They just feed off of the natural environment, which is kind of interesting. But then you also have the idea of psychic vampires that feed off of emotions, and you have sexual vampires that feed off of the sexual life force within human beings. So there are many different types of subcategories in the current vampire mythos. But absolutely, if you want to say that there's a vampire out there, there are definitely vampires out there. Now, are there people out there that need blood to exist? Probably not. And really, that's never happened in human history, I don't think. Blood is one of those things that has very little nutritional value in it, and you have to have a system that can process blood. Like the vampire bat has a very unique adapted system in order to use blood as a food source. But we as humans are not good at converting blood into usable sources. So I think that what we're doing is, again, that there are so many things that the human being has done, these heinous crimes against humanity, that we prefer to call them vampires than recognizing what kind of monster a true human being can be.
Guru, we only got under 2 minutes left with you tonight.
I know,
this
crazy.
Show, it's absolutely sickening at how quickly this has flown by. But, it's one of those things, man, where when you're having fun, it goes very, very fast. It really does. And I want to say thank you for coming on. We're going to book you. I'll send you some dates tomorrow. Okay. And get you lined up to get you back on next month while you can. And we really appreciate you coming back on to Talking Monsters, and I'd love to do it again next month. I know the audience would love that too. Tell everybody where they can find your books, your website, and everything Guru-ish.
Well, you know what? I do enjoy talking to people. And again, I actually put my email address onto the chat room here on YouTube. But you can, my direct email address is simply my name, Ronald L. Murphy Jr. at yahoo.com. You can email me. I would gladly chat with anybody. Go to social media. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. I'm the Crypto Guru on Twitter, as a matter of fact. But on Facebook, my author page is Ronald L. Murphy Jr. I would love to be able to chat with anybody. On there. It would be great. The questions that people have asked already, we can go into deeper in discussions with this together. But yeah, if you want my books, Amazon is definitely the best place to do it. If you want anything off of me, particularly if you want me to sign something, plus I could probably even give you a little bit better deal than the publisher's putting out there on Amazon. So yeah, just send me a note. Tell me what you want. Tell me what I could get to you, or if you just want to talk, that's fine with me as well too. So there's a whole bunch of different ways, Dave, to get in touch with me.
Absolutely. Guru time comes to an end here on Spaced Out Radio. But don't worry, we'll bring him back next month because we love our crypto guru around here. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave as we look to take this thing home.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter @SpacedOutRadio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today. We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night, where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much. I decorated tonight, putting up my Marvin the Martian collection, just in and around the microphone and in behind me. I like it. I love Marvin the Martian. Love him. Anyways, I want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show, and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. Speaking of the news... Oh, there it comes. Here it comes, everyone. We're going to make it happen right now. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the rude Canadians. As Captain Shirk would say, what? 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 Lisa Holton and her 2 young sons were just waiting to check into a White Horse Hotel the other night when 2 women walked by on the street, and they started pointing and laughing And we didn't do or say anything, Lisa says. We were just standing there. And one of them yells out, "You shouldn't even be here, you dirty COVID-spreading traveler." It was jarring to Holton. She says she's been very careful to ensure that she was following all the rules for transiting safely through the Yukon. Her family was relocating from Alaska to Minnesota, and Holton had to make the drive. There was no choice. Under Yukon's pandemic-related restrictions, travelers going to or from Alaska are allowed just 24 hours to drive through the territory. Holton says that she took care to meet the deadline and that followed all other public health orders, but she needs a night's rest in Whitehorse to be safe on the road. She said she asked about it at the border and told it was okay. She found the outburst from the two women on the street bizarre, but she's willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. She's acting more Canadian than the Canadians are. She says, I think it's fear. I think it's fear making us do funny things. She's now several days out of the Yukon, and looking back, she says it felt different traveling through the territory. Now that I'm further into Canada, I can say that I just feel that the Yukon was itself a little more agitated than British Columbia or Alberta. I can't speculate, I guess, as to why it is. Well, you know what? People just got to relax a little bit. Let's chill a little bit. What? Anyways, we just got to chill out a little bit, right? Chill out. So if you're up in the Yukon, have a beer. Put some maple syrup in the snow if it hasn't melted yet. And enjoy, because your solstice is coming, where you're going to have 24 hours of sunshine. Let's move on. I don't like this. Don't like it at all. So a Romanian shoemaker is promoting social distancing with the most ridiculous idea ever. His latest innovation? A pair of size 75 shoes that are each about 2.5 feet long. Gregor Lup, a cobbler from the city of Cluj, said he was inspired to create the long-nosed leather shoes when he saw people failing to follow social distancing guidelines. They should have been about 6 feet then, Lup. Anyways, Loop's shoes, which are available online, roughly $115 American per pair, are each about 2.5 feet long and are listed as a European size 75. The shoemaker said the shoes are designed so two people facing one another would be forced to keep a distance of about 5 feet. They're ugly. Nobody's buying these, and if you buy them, you're weird. Yes, it's okay to be weird. Okay, it's okay to be different, but those shoes are ugly, okay? They're the ugliest thing ever since the late 80s when those plastic shoes came out for women. Remember those? Those were ugly. Ugly. Yet everybody wore them. Anyways, horrible things. Anyways, iPhones stolen in lootings from Apple stores in the U.S. are now being tracked, disabled, and local authorities are being notified, according to messages displayed on their screens. Apple has temporarily closed some of its U.S. stores following the series of attacks amid the protests over the death of George Floyd. Several images of the warnings have been shared on social media. Apple says that it did not comment on security matters. It is not clear whether the company has passed on the location of stolen devices to any police forces. I hope they have. It has long been rumored that the devices on display in Apple stores have software installed so that they can be tracked if they are stolen. Pictures on social media confirm this. One image of a device posted to Twitter showed the message, "Please return to Apple Walnut Store. This device has been disabled and is being tracked. Local authorities will be alerted." The store in Philadelphia was among those attacked and looted. Purchased devices do not have such software on them, but they can be remotely locked by Apple if they are subsequently stolen or lost. The firm had only recently started reopening stores following the easing of lockdowns around the country, but a series of raids in Washington, D.C., L.A., San Francisco, New York, and Philadelphia has forced the stores to close again. A Spanish porno star is being investigated on suspicion of manslaughter after a photographer died during a toad venom ritual. As Captain Shirk would say, What? Nacho Vidal and two others were briefly detained over this death. Spanish police said the photographer died after inhaling the poison of an endangered North American toad. The mystic ritual reportedly took place at Mr. Vidal's home near the southern city of Valencia. A lawyer for Mr. Vidal says his client considers himself to be innocent, describing the death as an unfortunate accident. Jose Luis Abad was a Spanish photographer, used a pipe to inhale the substance, which is secreted from the glands of the toads. The toad, also known as the Colorado River toad, uses the powerful toxin to defend itself against predators in Mexico and southwestern U.S. states, where it is found in the Sonoran Desert. Known by chemists as 5-MeO-DMT, the natural substance is said to induce an intense psychedelic state when consumed by users, earning it the nickname the God Molecule. Yeah. Well, this guy's dead, and Mr. Vidal's lawyer said the photographer had previously tried the substance and wanted to do it again in a very comfortable environment. He denied suggestions that Mr. Vidal had acted as a shaman during the ritual, saying his client was very upset by the death of this person. With all due respect to the dead man and his family, Nacho maintains that the consumption of the venom was completely voluntary, much like each one of his sexual partners. Moving on. A man has returned from a silent retreat in Vermont and was shocked to learn coronavirus cases have massively spiked, and mounting racial tensions have sparked protests and riots across the country. 33-year-old Daniel Thorson entered the Monastic Academy in Lowell on March 23rd for 2 months of voluntary physical and mimetic self-quarantine. He tweeted on May 23rd, "I'm back from 75 days in silence. Did I miss anything? Really? Well, you missed a lot there, Daniel. You know, you might want to come out of the shell a little bit." Anyways, he goes, "Did I miss anything on Twitter? Yeah, you missed a pandemic. You missed a lot of racial stuff." Thorson followed up with a tweet declaring notification bankruptcy and asking anyone who has contacted him while he was away to follow up again, as he couldn't play catch-up. His first experience with another human was when he entered Shaw's supermarket and felt anxieties from other people when he moved near them. "I would turn a corner in the grocery store, and by goodness, there would be somebody there, and they would recoil. I haven't installed the COVID operating system. At first, I was like, whoa, what did I do?" When he did finally scan his social media after months in the Buddhist monastic community, he found people talking about nothing but corona. Cases were at over 3,700 when he went into the retreat, and when he emerged, it was over 1.6 million. "Everything else is gone," he says. "There's nothing about the election. It's amazing. The Australian wildfires, what happened there? Didn't Brexit happen?" Well, you've been gone for 2 months. You can't go stupid in 2 months. You just can't. Okay? Stop playing this up, Daniel. Stop playing this up. You didn't leave the real world. All right? It's a cool thing that you did, going in for 2 months of Buddhist training and silence. That's good. All right? But you weren't, in amnesia. You weren't in coma for years. You weren't in jail for years. Stop playing it up. Go away. Time's up. Another big nope in the ocean. Yep. An Australian diver got a video during spearfishing off the coast of Queensland where he had an encounter with a bull shark who decided that his rubber flipper would make a good meal. So the shark literally ripped the flipper off his foot. Lachlan Pye, who's just 18 years old, had his toe digits survive when diving off the coast of Lucinda and spearfishing for coral trout and fingermark bream when the bull shark decided to check things out. Pye said he returned to the water after taking a catch back to his boat and was pulling another fish back towards the surface when he was joined in the water. "I took the easy shot and started to come up. As I came up, this bull shark charged me. Came out of nowhere." No kidding. No kidding. Like you didn't know on Australia's coast that there are sharks everywhere. Pye's video of the encounter shows the shark pulling the flipper off his foot. The diver said he made it back to the vessel without injury. Well, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? A massive landslide dragged 8 buildings. You know what? This is actually a very scary story. I'd be distraught over this if this happened in my community. Hi, Sandra. A massive landslide dragged 8 buildings into Norway's sea as a huge chunk of coast has vanished underwater. Footage captured by drones shows the devastating moment a piece of the coastline began to move towards the sea in the northern town of Alta. The land disappeared underwater before the force of the sea carried 8 buildings towards the land. Oh, this is just freaky. Just freaky. The landslide was 800 meters long and 40 meters high. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if all of a sudden one day your house has this beautiful oceanfront view, and the next thing it has a beautiful bottom of the oceanfront view? Not me, man. Not me. I'll take the mountains anytime. There's sharks in there too. And just for the record, okay, I fear sharks. I totally fear sharks. Okay? But they have a very, very cool purpose. Very cool purpose. And I do not condone the shark kills. Do not condone shark kills at all. So I'm just putting that out there on the record because I talk a lot about sharks on this. Captain Shirk tries to get me freaked out by all these shark stories, but I just want to put it out there. Okay? They may scare the daylights out of me, but they are very, very cool animals. Very cool. An Australian hotel said the burglar that repeatedly triggered security alarms at the business's liquor store has been finally identified by security cameras as a rare and endangered animal, a northern quoll. What the heck is a northern quoll? Stuart Gibson, director of the Bungalow Hotel in Cairns, Queensland, said he received late-night phone calls from the business security company on multiple occasions to let them know the alarms had been triggered at the hotel's liquor store. Every night between 2, 3, and 4 in the morning, we'd be getting calls from our alarm company, so I dragged myself out of bed, go to the bottle shop, and no one was there. Gibson said at first he thought the store's alarm system was faulty until on a recent night the security camera managed to capture footage of the intruder, the northern quoll. The northern quoll is an endangered tree-climbing marsupial rarely spotted in urban areas. Clearly, he likes to have a drink at the hotel, Gibson joked. Gibson said he's been in contact with environmental authorities and plans are being made to capture the quoll and relocate it to a more suitable habitat. Well, isn't that good? Isn't that awesome? Still don't know what a quoll is. Now I gotta Google it. What does this thing look like? Oh, it's like a cute little rat. It's got like deer polka dots on it. You know, like baby deer, like fawns. They got them Bambi polka dots on them. That's what it looks like. Cute little thing. Good for him. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, and we read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. What's your thoughts on little cryptids like fairies, gnomes, and trolls being real? Let's start off with Marty, our favorite Vietnam veteran around here. Thank you for serving your country, Marty. We really do appreciate that, and we love you around here. And a fantastic clown. You know what I thought funny about this clown choice, Marty? Is you had a balloon that said, I love dairy, Derry. The guru, crypto guru Ronald Murphy, is from Derry, Pennsylvania. That was totally synchronistic, by the way. So anyways, Marty writes, if Bigfoot, Dogman, and Nessie are real, then why wouldn't fairies, gnomes, and trolls also be real? What rule of nature states that only giant cryptids could be feasible? Beautiful clown. Beautiful, beautiful clown. Let's move on here. Graham, that we are at one with the gnomes, not sure about the bridge trolls, though, and the dryad fairy folk are so reclusive. Janine, I haven't seen one, but then again, I haven't seen a sesame seed plant, and they seem to be real. Jules, it wouldn't have stories from many cultures passed through time if there wasn't some truth to it. Rahonda, those who don't believe in magic will never find it. Eric with a K, You know, we are Eric with a K's 4th favorite talk show of this genre. We're number 4. He goes, they are totally real. 1. That what people use to blame to explain sickness and avoid charges of witchcraft or to scare their children, Zacharias Janssen and Louis Pasteur should have ended the former. Chip, I am a fairy and a troll. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Antisocial moth. At this point in time, anything is possible. Judith. Never seen one, but why risk it? If I see a fairy circle of mushrooms, I don't break it down, and I don't enter it either. I do, however, leave an offering. Dominic. Density, energy, electricity. Cynthia. Sure. I've seen many gnomes pushing wheelbarrows. Bill. Are you kidding me, Dave? I live in California. You've been to San Francisco. LR, otherwise Lisa Robb. My Norwegian grandmother believes in all of them, and she was a no-sense type of gal. I believe her. Kristen. I believe 2 nights ago my husband was with our dog on the deck, and he swears he saw a fairy. It came out from the bushes and seemed dazed. It bounced off a pole. Then the slider went up and hit a light and flew off above the house. It scared our dog. Queen of the Stars. I was gifted fairy guides. Oh, that's kind of cool. Buckle down. It's all hyper-dimensional, man. Babaloo. My thoughts are that they are just dimensional beings with their own levels of consciousness development and with their own roles to fulfill, same as any being above or below. The universe is filled with many different types of beings. Very, very cool, man. Very, very cool. Let's find out what else people are saying. Mandy, real, seen them. I make fairy doors for some trees here. I'd like to get some of those, actually. I would. Gabe, I believe they are real and I want to meet them. David, people can experience them, but they are not real in the same sense as birds and lizards. I think they are more transient, interdimensional type phenomena. Jack, yeah, they are enough credible accounts of them to believe they are real in some sense. But what sense that is, I haven't got a clue. Would love to find out, although maybe from a distance. Olaf, totally real and no BS. I think I have gnomes. I'm super not joking. For reals. Karen, I think that they let some of us see them and others not. A great fun kids movie, The Spiderwick Chronicles. Look it up and watch it. Fun stuff. Still one of my faves. You won't be disappointed. I think she thinks we're the manager. Karen. Yeah, I post that to her all the time. She makes a snarling sound and then she laughs. Sparkles. I believe they are real, but I've never seen any. When I live in the woods, I talk to them in hopes that one will appear. They never have, though. Perhaps it depends on where the person is. Nick. I believe that there is a fairy that lives in my backyard. I've seen it once for sure and possibly a second time. First time it was a golden or a humanoid figure that fell from the top of my fence behind my hosta plant. My cousin was facing away, but he's seen the glow out of the corner of his eye. And finally, Kelly gets the final word. They could be real. I've been called a gnome and a troll before. I could be one. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Thank you, Captain Shirk, for the news. And to the guru, Ronald Murphy, who will be back next month for more monster talk. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everybody participating in our chat rooms tonight. You were awesome in Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, our Space Travelers Club, and all the snarkers and snarkettes on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, We need a favor. We need you to take us home. The Woo Train may be parked for the night, but we will depart same time, same place tomorrow. Your tickets never expire. Your seats are always available. Come join us where we own the night. Good night.